Okay, guys, so here are the solutions to yesterday's assignment, Hyperbola's worksheet 3, 4, and 7. So taking a look at number 3, it's already in HK form. So in order to identify the center, notice again with whatever is with X, this is our H, this is our K. So our center is going to be the opposite because the minus sign is already there. So it's going to be 4, -3. So the center for number 3 is 4, -3. Since the x is in the first numerator, this is going to be an east-west hyperbola, so it's going to be opening sideways. We'll answer the vertices afterwards, or if you wanted to, once we identify A and B, we could write those out and then just double check on our graph as well. So here we have A squared, remember, is always our first denominator, so that's equal to 9, which means A is 3. And it is okay for them to be the same values here. So B squared is also 9, which means B is 3. So you really can't go wrong here. The slopes of the asymptotes, it's going to equal plus or minus, but really, again, it's whatever comes or is under the y first. So it's going to be plus or minus 3 over 3. Now, yes, technically we could simplify it, but I don't here because I don't want you to simplify the rectangle. We still have to have a rectangle that from the center is going to go up 3 to the right 3, up 3, left 3, down, and then over to each side 3 as well. But if we want to just talk about the slopes of the asymptotes, then yes, technically we could say this is plus or minus 1, really. So we have the slopes of the asymptotes. In order to state the vertices here, I was going to use a V. So one vertex, because remember, if this is east-west hyperbola, what we could do, the K is going to stay the same. So we're going to take H, which is 4, and we're going to add A to it. So 4 plus 3, comma, and then our K value, which is -3. So then this gives us 7, -3 should be one vertex. The other vertex is going to be 4 minus A, so 4 minus 3, and then K stays the same, so we could write this as 1, -3. So our two vertices should be at 7, -3, and 1, -3. All right, so starting with my center, counting 4 over to the right and then down 3. So there's my center. Again, to draw my rectangle, I'm counting up 3 to the right 3, up 3 to the left, 3 down to the left 3, and then 3 down, 3 to the right. So we really have a square for this rectangle. And then we're going to draw our diagonals going through this. Again, remember to use a ruler. So there we go with our diagonals. And again, because this is east-west, right in the middle here, so this is my 1, -3 for that vertex, counting over. I'm actually going to count over 7, then down 3. So here is the vertex of 7, -3, and then here we have 1, -3. So those are our two vertices. And then we're going to draw our hyperbola very close to the diagonal through the vertex, and then very close to the other diagonal. Same thing over here. All right, so there's our answer for number 3. All right, 4 is also in HK form. And if you look right away, the y is our first numerator. Again, notice the minus sign that is showing up. Hopefully you guys were able to still pay attention to those, even though everything on this worksheet was hyperbolas. So then we have an x plus 7, that quantity squared, over 1 equals 1. So be careful here. This 7 goes with our h because that's where our x is, and then our k is over here. So our center is really going to be a -7 and then a -3. Because the y is our first numerator, this is going to be a north-south hyperbola. A squared is always our first denominator, so a squared is 4, means a is 2. We got some nice small numbers here. B squared is 1, square root of 1 is just 1. We could write out the vertices here. Because this is a north-south, h is going to stay the same, so we're going to have a -7. Then we'll have a -3 plus a, and then a -3 minus a. So we'll have a -3 plus 2. So this will give us a -7, -1, and then the other vertex will be -7, and then -3 -2. So we're getting a -7, -5 for the vertex. Slopes of the asymptotes here. See what you guys were coming up with. Again, we're going to go with whatever square root of the number that's under y. So that's going to be plus or minus 2 over 1, or just a plus or minus 2. So from our center, which is at -7, -3, we're going to count up 2, 1 to the right, up 2, 1 to the left, down 2, 1 over to each side. So we get a much nicer, smaller rectangle to work with. I know when some of these hyperbolas are very stretched out, it makes it a little tougher to draw them as neatly as we possibly can. So there's our nice little small rectangle, our diagonals going through these. We don't have to draw them too far. Like this, filling in our vertices. So again, it's north-south, so right at the top, there's our -7, -1, and then down here is our -7, -5. I don't have enough room to really squeeze those in here, but our hyperbola at the bottom will look like this. Much easier to draw. And then at the top. So here is our hyperbola for number 4 with all of the information that we needed to answer. All right, then looking at number 7, all we had to do was get this in HK form. So if you're already looking, this is what it was originally: 4x squared minus 9y squared plus 32x minus 144y minus 548. So yes, you could use a calculator here, equals 0. First thing we want to do is get the x terms together. So we'll have a 4x squared plus 32x, then the minus 9y squared. We always want the squared variable with the positive coefficient to go first here, then a minus 144y. We'll move the 548 to the other side. So of our first two terms, we want to factor out a 4 only. Then we have an x squared plus 8x. We'll fill in, leave a little space here. Next, very carefully, we need to factor out a -9. And then watch your signs. We'll have a y squared and then plus. Now 144 divided by 9 is 16, so we'll get a 16y. Leave some space here, and then equals 548. What we're going to fill in here, half of 8 is 4. 4 squared is 16, but we're really multiplying 16 by 4, so we really added a 64 to the left side, so we add it to the right. And then half of 16 is 8. 8 squared is 64. But we really added a 64 times a -9, which is a -576. All right, writing this next part as a quantity squared, we'll have 4 times a quantity x plus 4 squared minus 9 times a quantity y plus 8 squared. Combining these three numbers here will give us a positive 36. But just double check this. Don't just copy it down. Make sure you're going through the steps yourself. All right, again, we want to get two fractions being subtracted equaling 1. So we want to divide everything here by 36. If you notice, again, the two coefficients multiply to give us 36. So this works out nicely. We're going to get x plus 4 squared over 9 minus the quantity y plus 8 squared over 4 equals a 1. And since we did all this work, I wasn't asking to graph or to identify anything else. So on Monday, I'm going to give you guys 2 days to complete a quizzes over hyperbola. So please make sure you're getting caught up. I'll post this as well with the directions. Please let me know how you guys are doing. If you have any questions, again, with the homework, you do not have to. I'm still fine if you wanted to, though, but you do not have to submit or take pictures and turn in all the homeworks. Just anything that I will say will be for a grade, and I will make that very clear. All right, guys, enjoy your weekend and stay well.